This is Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson.
Oh, and Harry Welburn.
Harry, you're going to tell us about the Gardener's Rest.
Yes, the Gardener's Rest is the pub in Neepsend. If you buy today's Sheffield Star, there's a little thing about the Gardener's Rest on page 19, but it's out of date. It's correct that the Gardener's Rest is 105 Neepsend Lane. And it's correct that Eddie and Pat want to retire, and it's correct that there's a community shares group called the Gardener's Rest Community Society who are trying to buy the pub, and Eddie and Pat would love to sell it to us. But what is wrong in the Star is they say we've only raised 75,000. We've nearly raised double that now. We've raised, as of this morning, £140,000. The minimum we had to raise was 100,000, which allows us to get matching funding, which allows us to make an offer that Pat and Eddie will consider. So the more money we can now make by the 28th of November, when we have to close the offer, the better position we are to make Pat and Eddie an offer they can't refuse, and also have money to put towards all the things we want to do to make it a sustainable pub, because we're not going to change the pub basically downstairs, but there's lots of opportunities upstairs to get a new community room up there, and also to create some flats which would give us a guaranteed income. So I'm on to just basically say as little as £100 gets you a community share. Even if you put in £50,000, you still only get one community share vote. So it's not about a business people buying in and owning a pub in some sort of surrogate way. It is actually there's over 200 people now invested, which is phenomenal, considering that this only started back in June. So I'm seriously impressed. But if you go to something called the Gardener's Rest Community Society on Facebook, and it's also crowdfunded like the monkey butt people were talking about, it's a pretty simple process to invest. And if you've ever been in that pub, you'll know how great a pub it is. If you ever listened to my show at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, that music started from that pub for me. I saw lots of great acts for free there, and that's the sort of thing we want to keep going.
Yeah. So can we just check, where is the Gardener's Rest?
The Gardener's Rest is Neepsend. It's the only pub in Neepsend. It's the bit of it's not in Casson-Yardley, because Pat will tell you off, but it's next to Casson-Yardley as you work your way towards Hillsborough. If you know where the gasworks were with all those gas pipes, it's there. There's only about 4 people live in Neepsend, and Pat and Eddie are 2 of them.
Yeah. It's opposite the skate park, isn't it?
It's opposite the skate park, and if you come down Rutland Road from the Infirmary Road, if you cross over Penistone Way, then go down through the other half of Philadelphia, at the junction, instead of going up towards, I can't remember what it's called now, but if you turn left, it's about 50 yards around the corner. Yeah. It's got a brilliant pub sign.
And it's a great place, isn't it?
Superb pub.
Quite big, isn't it?
It's quite big inside, and we don't intend to change anything downstairs, so you'll still have live music and the art. Brilliant garden, nice picture of the garden in the Star. And we'll still, I think, be keeping the bar billiards room, but eventually upstairs we should be able to create a second space, which could be loads and loads of things.
Right, would that be for like spoken word?
So, yeah. Well, it might be, if you're nice, Susie.
Music?
Yeah. Well, it'll just be everything. But basically, at the moment, if you did spoken word, you would be competing with a bar full of people. Yeah. And I have watched M&J Blues, who I played today, playing very loudly because there was a whole family having a family argument sat next to them. Right. Which is interesting, but it's a pub. It's not a gig space.
Same at the Riverside. You can perform, but you don't get the music.
Yeah, but the plan is, I think, that the upstairs, we can do various things with it. Not necessarily charging, but just increase. And its byline is more than a pub, a community hub. And I think there is already a lot of community stuff going on in there. If anybody saw Pat having a head shaved for the cancer charity, the men's one, prostrate, the pub was absolutely heaving, and that's because there were so many people who Pat knows who came along to support her, and we can build on that because Kelham Island as an area is reviving very, very definitely, and one of the things we want to do is get very strong links with the community there. But I don't live there. I live out of Hillsborough. People come from a very long way away because it's such a great pub, and we certainly don't intend changing that.
Yeah. And it's managed to survive. It's almost a standalone building.
It is
isn't it? In a
standalone.
wilderness, really.
Yes, yes.
But
Well,
like you say, with development, anything could happen.
the
in
key
there,
to this is
isn't it?
getting the right people to run it to replace Pat and Eddie, who are retiring onto a narrowboat. But I think the number of volunteers who will look after the garden, the art, the music, bring in the spoken word. But we obviously need a landlord, landlady who have got an empathy for the pub, because it is about Pat and Eddie and they've created this pub. It's a building, but the atmosphere. Yeah.
And there's Stella there, of course.
Oh, yes, sorry, of course. And if you go on to the website, if you get onto the Facebook, there is posted on there the Stella video.
Yes, that's very
Yes,
good.
it's excellent. And I think that's helped bring in quite a lot of money.
Yeah, and Stella tell us who she is.
Well, she is a mannequin.
Yeah?
Stella is a mannequin. And she's lived there all the time. I think that Pat and Eddie have lived there. She mainly lives, nothing horrible about this, but she's quite near the toilets.
Right.
On a very small bench and table on its own. But she changes her clothes quite regularly.
Right.
She's had Tour de France clothes, etc., etc. She's well worth seeing. We do know somebody who actually apparently thought in the video that she was real.
Oh, I think T-Boy, wasn't she your first girlfriend?
Was
Stella.
indeed. It was. You were.
You sat next to her for a long time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she thought she was shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All quiet in South Yorkshire, aren't they, really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone was thinking of investing, Harry, how much is
The minimum
involved?
is 100,
Right.
and then the maximum will be whatever's left to take it up to 200,000, because it gets capped at 200,000.
Right.
That was the initial share offer.
Yeah, and if you do have 100 going spare,
Yeah.
what do you get in return?
Well, you get a voting share.
Right.
Basically, that having said with the previous people about crowdfunder giving you rewards, the reward here is you get ownership of your own pub.
Right.
And like I said, whether you're on 100 or 20,000, nobody's put in 20,000 yet, top's 5. But whether you're on 5,000 or 100, you only get one vote when it comes to making decisions about the future of the pub.
Yeah, and to be
So
honest,
it's
if you do have money to save at the moment, you're not getting much
Oh,
back
well,
on
sorry,
it.
yes, thank you.
Oh, you really?
So you're queuing me up now, because of course I haven't
Yeah.
done it for these reasons. But if you put in 100, you get 2.5% back after 3 years. If you put in over 100, you get 5% back. Now that is not a bad return. I think most people quite seriously put it in because they just want the pub to keep going.
Yeah.
I did it because I've got a grandson on the way and I wanted to give him a present.
Oh,
So I think owning a pub is a fine part of the Welburn family tradition. Not that we own pubs, but
yeah, okay. And there's
you know
lots
what I
of
mean.
music going on. that you
lots
said.
and lots. I
Yeah.
played M&J Blues. Next week, on my show next week, I think I'm playing 4 acts who play there. Dogwood Rose, April and the Shire used to play there. Jackalope Tales still play there. M&J Blues. Brilliant old time session last night. On the Back Porch are on this Friday. They don't have a CD out yet. It's lots and lots and lots of music.
Yeah,
And a particular sort, the Americana folk end.
Yeah,
Very, very good pub.
yeah, and it's great to see it continuing.
Oh, it
on,
will be.
isn't
It'll be
Yeah.
a disaster if it
Yes,
disappears.
yeah.
Because eventually, that area opposite it will become full of housing. There's a massive area that is just
Yeah.
waiting for planning permission.
Yeah, and where the ski slope was, it's
Yes,
a massive area. isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
lots of possibilities out, but it's already a viable business. Doesn't depend on that for it to be worth investing in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, thanks for
Thank
letting
you
us
very
know.
much. No,
Keep
thank
it-
you for